Hi, it's Rob Ranko from the Carlson Law Firm in Austin, Texas. Thank you for looking at this today. I want to try to do a short video. As some of you may know, I represent the family of Lyle Blanchard. Lyle was shot and killed on August 30th of 2016 by Bell County Deputy Shane Geers. That's Bell County, Texas. He was killed close to his home outside of Harker Heights, Texas. Lyle was being pulled over on the suspicion of drunk driving at 3:30 in the afternoon on the 30th of August last year. I'm posting this video to express some concerns and a request for answers. Also, I just want to let folks know what's going on. We came into possession of an affidavit for a search warrant, and a search warrant that was issued the same day that Lyle was killed, August 30th, 2016. The search warrant was signed at 11:36 p.m., about 8 hours after Lyle was killed. In order to get a search warrant, you need to put in some very specific things. You need to request by affidavit from a judge. You need to identify the property that you want to search, the things you think you will find, and why you think you'll find these things. Why will they be useful? What leads you to believe that they'll be there? Why will they help? So you need to put in some very specific things into your affidavit in order to get a search warrant. I have posted below in the information below this video a link where you can click and look at this affidavit and look at the search warrant. So very quickly, this affidavit is done by Jim Hatfield. It says he's a peace officer under the laws of the state of Texas and commissioned by Texas DPS, by the Texas Rangers Division. So he's a Texas Ranger apparently. And so they describe the premises on the front page. This is the location. It's 12953 FM 2410 in Harker Heights, Texas. And they go through all of the appropriate, very descriptive, very specific, we want to search this property. They even attach, it says, a photograph of the property. And it says that this property is in the charge of and controlled by Lyle P. Blanchard. Okay, problem number one. Lyle Blanchard has been dead for 8 hours. He is in control of nothing. Present tense would be wrong here. To say it was controlled by him might have been proper, might not have gotten him a search warrant, but at least that would be accurate. They also go on to say, Mr. Hatfield does, that it's his belief that the suspected party has possession of, again, present tense, has possession of, and is concealing at said suspected place the following property. Now, there's a whole list of things you can see on the affidavit if you click on it. They think Lyle Blanchard at this property has A, weapons and accessories, B, firearms, C, explosives, D, ammunition, E, literature containing anti-police statements, sentiments, and writings or recordings, F, computers, cell phones, and any other electronic device capable of sending, receiving, or storing data, G, a suicide note, H, and any other items known that could constitute that a particular individual committed the offenses described herein. So what offenses are we talking about? Why do we need this? So it goes into, next it goes into Officer Hatfield's qualifications. Next it goes into the stop. On 8:30 of 16, Bell County Sheriff's Department Corporal Shane Geers was on patrol in a marked patrol unit. He goes into the entire stop saying that Deputy Geers suspected Mr. Blanchard of drunk driving, describes why they suspected it, why they pulled him over. Towards the end of that big paragraph on page 2, it says, Blanchard made a movement with his concealed hand toward Corporal Geers, and Corporal Geers believed Blanchard was armed with a gun. And then the next sentence is astounding to me. Corporal Geers engaged and subdued Blanchard. Here, we'll do this the low-tech way. It's right down here. See? Corporal Geers engaged and subdued Blanchard. He shot him dead. He subdued him with a vengeance. This is misleading. This is suggesting in the affidavit that Mr. Blanchard is alive. That's certainly the way I read it. We don't know how the judge read it, but certainly it doesn't say that he was shot or killed or anything to that effect. He goes on to say that after this altercation where he was subdued, they checked the rolls. They wanted to find out who this Blanchard guy was, so they checked the Harker Heights Police Department service number and found, they say, that Blanchard has a violent criminal history. Gosh. When you describe somebody as having a violent criminal history, how many violent criminal convictions do you suppose the person has to have before they fall into that category? 2, 4, 1? Well, not for Mr. Hatfield to describe Mr. Blanchard that way. In fact, Lyle Blanchard has 0 violent criminal convictions. But he was arrested apparently about 5 months earlier for aggravated assault with a weapon. It says Blanchard called the Harker Heights Police Department and threatened to shoot the airplanes that were flying overhead. Okay, that's odd. It's certainly not a good thing, and if somebody threatened to do that, they should be charged. We don't know if it happened or not. That's what it says in here. He was never convicted. This obviously was an ongoing investigation. They're using this open investigation to pretend that that's the reason why they want the search warrant. It has nothing to do with that. This is about covering their butts. CYA, as we used to say. They want to find out if there's something they can hang on Lyle Blanchard to convince the public that he needed to die. Why am I so cynical? Well, I'm so cynical because that's exactly what they tried to do in the media following Lyle's death. They told the media, newspaper, TV reporters, there was a gunfight, there was a shootout. This was one guy, Deputy Geers, shooting Lyle Blanchard, an unarmed, 59-year-old, disabled Navy veteran, dead. Unarmed. They never had a reason to suspect that he was armed. After they killed him, they knew damn well he wasn't armed, yet they told the media this was a gunfight, it was a shootout. There was some sort of an altercation between the men. Never happened. Wait until you see the video when it's released. It will get released. That's why we filed a federal lawsuit, was to create some transparency, to create some justice for this family whose brother has been vilified and made to be the bad guy. He's not. He's the victim. They're the victims. This affidavit goes on to say also, in addition to this May of 16 arrest, it says back in 2011, the Harker Heights Police Department responded to a death investigation at the same address, and Blanchard is listed in the report as a suspect. 5 years earlier, apparently, based on this, never charged, certainly never convicted, but he was listed in the report. Those two things, one arrest, no conviction, one time being listed in a police report, apparently no charges or conviction, but that creates, for Mr. Hatfield, a violent criminal history for Lyle Blanchard. This is signed by Mr. Hatfield. It is then signed, notarized by Judge Jessic, Bell County Judge. Then the search warrant is issued as requested. And they did the search. And you can see here the return and inventory. Did they find explosives, ammunition, anti-police literature, all that stuff? No, they found an LG cell phone. An LG cell phone. We need to start asking questions of Bell County, of law enforcement in general. This is not okay. Lyle Blanchard was shot dead. Now the jury will decide how that case resolves. I admit, I'm biased. I represent the family. I think this is a horrible tragedy. It was avoidable. Deputy Geers made a lot of mistakes. He killed Lyle Blanchard unnecessarily. That's a separate issue. This affidavit is shameful. You kill a guy, right or wrong, justified or not. Let's leave that as at least a possibility. Maybe he probably thought he did the right thing at the time. He didn't. But let's assume he believes that. Why would the Bell County officials seek to dig up dirt on a guy that they killed? We shouldn't do this to people who aren't here to defend themselves. We shouldn't do this ever. We shouldn't lie to judges to get search warrants. I want to be clear, I'm very troubled by this whole thing. I'm not casting aspersions at Judge Jessic. I know her reputation is that she is very honorable and a decent judge and a decent person. I believe, based on the language used here, I think she was misled. She was misled into signing this search warrant for an investigation into charges against a dead man at 11:30 at night. I assume at her home. I don't know where else this would have been signed. She was led to believe this was an emergency. We'll find out more about that, I think, but I just want to be very clear. I am not saying anything negative about the judge, but I think the folks who caused this to happen have a lot of questions to answer. We intend to ask them. Perhaps the media will ask them at some point as well. Thank you for watching, and contact me if you have any other thoughts or questions or concerns. Thanks for tuning in.